Lil Jeff was causing havoc in Chicago before he died, from sliding on his ops to threatening anyone who tried to cross him.
The shit will start happening, and y'all know this by now.
And now, with cops revealing that he would have been indicted in a double murder, footage of him threatening to kill witnesses has surfaced and gone viral. Y'all aren't ready to hear what he said on these tapes. Lil Jeff threatening witnesses. Lil Jeff was a straight menace in the streets. I mean, remember that time he caught one of his ops lacking in a store and threatened him? That was one of the most embarrassing moments in the ongoing gang war in Chicago. Lil Jeff and Q50 slowly approached the op, Trap City Big Motion, and started pressing him. Lil Jeff, with his camera recording the interaction, ordered the Trap City affiliate to disrespect his deceased homie, Leal. Cornered and outnumbered, Big Motion agreed to do it, leading to one of the most embarrassing moments of the gang war, as he ended up getting punched up and hit in the deck.
I did see it. I see it.
Cool.
But that's not the only time Lil Jeff was on the internet threatening his ops. One time, he warned them that he was done taking a break from sliding on his ops.
The shit will start happening, and y'all know this by now. I went black for like a week, and poof. Gotta go after that one. Poof. I came back. Poof. Long live stuff.
And he was about to cause mayhem on the streets. And he wasn't joking around because he would soon try to slide on his ops. However, the end result wasn't as he had imagined because he got drilled on his own drill. On June 8, 2024, cameras would capture one of the wildest incidents in a gang war. In the early hours of June 9th, popular journalist Kyle Maza broke the sad news on his X account saying, "Unidentified male victim shot and killed in Chicago, Illinois on June 8, 2024. Spot News reports that the victim killed is Chicago rapper Bloodhound Lil Jeff. His post detailed the harrowing incident, stating, "At approximately 5:14 p.m. Saturday afternoon on the 6600 block of S. Rhodes Avenue, a male victim, John Doe, was near the sidewalk when he was struck in the chest by gunfire." The report further explained what followed. The victim was transported to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. There are no suspects in custody. A large number of shell casings were located at the crime scene, and it wasn't long before CCTV footage of the incident found its way onto the internet. The minute-by-minute chain of events was wild. The surveillance footage from the 6600 block of S. Rhodes Avenue captured a group of individuals near a house and several parked cars. Among them were Lil Jeff's homies, the ones in the black car, the person dressed all in black, another in red, who was later identified as Q50, and one wearing a white hoodie. Meanwhile, a man in yellow shorts was seen attempting to get into a car when Lil Jeff spotted him. In the footage, the door of the black car opens. It's Lil Jeff. Without hesitation, he begins chasing the man in yellow shorts. However, his figure quickly disappears from view, obscured by a large pillar of the house. While Lil Jeff pursued the target, his homies did not follow. Instead, they turned their attention to a gray car, opening fire. Lil Jeff managed to hit the man in yellow shorts once in the chest, but before he could press further, two other individuals suddenly emerged from an alley and returned fire. His body was sent flying back onto the ground at the foot of the porch, and as Lil Jeff lay on the pavement, the shooters finished the job. Reports say they emptied an entire magazine into him from above, making sure there was no coming back. Q50 and the other shooter fired back, but it was already over. There was no saving him. And just like that, the crew abandoned him, hopping back in the car and speeding off, leaving Jeff behind in a pool of blood. As the video ends, scanner reports confirmed that a victim who had been shot 15 times was transported to the hospital by his homies. CCTV footage actually showed Lil Jeff's carrying their homie from the porch where he had been shot up. Despite their efforts, Lil Jeff was pronounced dead upon arrival. By the time authorities arrived, the scene was littered with evidence. 58 shell casings scattered across the pavement. Meanwhile, the man in yellow shorts, also wounded, arrived at the hospital with his own crew, suffering from a gunshot wound to the chest. Unlike Lil Jeff, he survived. The Bloodhounds are obviously looking to get their get back, and Lil Jeff's alleged killer, Trap City Rob, would be the perfect example to send a message to the rest of their ops that they shouldn't be messed with, and they have already started sending him death threats. One guy took to the internet to post, planning on spinning Trap City, my main target being the jelly bean looking on the right called Trap City Rob. Anyone want to come along? Let me know. Straps aren't funded, so bring your own. Well, Rob has sent them a message. People have been trying to kill him all his life, but none have succeeded. And if they are about that life, they should bring it.
Like you don't be getting death threats and shit. That's why I was asking. You ain't even get a chance to even ask that shit.
I don't take that shit serious, man. Trying to kill me my whole life, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, You gotta show me for real.
It turns out Lil Jeff isn't the only rapper threatening people, because Lil Durk was caught on wiretapes threatening to kill snitches. Durk's indictment has revealed a lot about the OTF boss, and it seems he had tried to mask his vicious nature behind his conversion to Islam because he wasn't playing around. Now, Special Agent Sarah Corcoran, working for the FBI, filed an affidavit that has some damning details about the OTF boss and his attempts to intimidate witnesses. According to the special agent, evidence the FBI collected during their investigation showed that Durkio was threatening OTF members who were cooperating with the feds. The affidavit reads, "Due to serious safety concerns, this affidavit does not provide the identity of these witnesses. Based on the FBI's investigation, I know that witnesses and/or their family members have already received threats and/or have been contacted in what appear to be attempts to influence their participation in this investigation."
Witnesses were threatened during the whole time. The reason how I knew this was because of Special Agent Sarah Cochran. She stated this several times in her federal affidavit towards Durk Banks.
In another part from the court documents, prosecutors allege that Lil Durk's modus operandi is clear. He will use his power, his money, and his influence to endanger anyone who he perceives as a threat, including witnesses in this case. There's even rumor that Durk might have ordered the murder of one of the witnesses' baby mamas. This is none other than OTF Jam, who is accused of truth-telling on Durkio. And Durkio might have learned his intimidation tactics from the best, because one of his close industry friends, Young Thug, is also accused of threatening witnesses in his RICO case. The prosecution claimed that witnesses received threats from Thug and other YSL, and that they feared for their own lives and the lives of their loved ones should they testify against them. Turns out that Thugger had been trying to silence witnesses.
He's the one directing traffic. He is the one they're all afraid of. He's the one that's King Slime. He's pulling the shots. He is the most dangerous of the 28, Judge.
Young Thug was also threatening his gang members and making sure that they wouldn't dare snitch on him.
That we have taken proffers from fellow from Mr. Williams. Some are on this indictment, some are not. They have stated uniformly that Mr. Williams is dangerous. They are afraid of him, that if they cross him, he will them and their family.
One rapper who was caught red-handed threatening witnesses is Diddy. According to prosecutors, the music mogul has been breaking prison rules by contacting potential witnesses in his upcoming trafficking trial. Apparently, he has been making relentless efforts to corruptly influence witness testimony by using other inmates' telephone accounts and using three-way calls to speak to people who are not on his approved contacts list. Prosecutors said a review of recorded calls also found that Mr. Combs instructed his family to contact potential witnesses in his case. It turns out that this was also one of the reasons two separate judges denied Diddy bond. One of the judges revealed that he was concerned Diddy would obstruct justice and tamper with witnesses. The prosecution presented the judge with Diddy's old text messages where he seemed to be threatening his victims. One of the texts was from 2016, after a 2016 hotel incident where he was caught on camera assaulting ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura. "Call me, the cops are here. I got 6 kids. You please call, I'm surrounded. You gonna abandon me all alone?" the text read. It turns out that the incident took place after a freak-off in 2016. He allegedly paid a hotel $50,000 to erase hallway surveillance footage of an intoxicated Diddy throwing glass vases at Cassie when she tried to escape after he gave her a black eye. Getting a hotel to break the law by deleting footage of a crime only shows his immense power and control over his victims. But that's not the only time Diddy threatened his victims. After settling his lawsuit with Cassie, more women came forward with similar allegations and sued the music mogul. This time, Diddy fought back. He took to his Instagram, revealing that he would be fighting back. "Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation, and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth," Diddy posted. But it turns out that rappers aren't the only ones issuing threats, because even Lil Jeff's parents hopped on social media to send warnings of their own to their son's op. While the streets were processing Lil Jeff's downfall, his dad reacted in a way no one expected. Instead of mourning quietly, he took to social media in a shocking display that had the internet confused. But first, let's look at what Lil Jeff's mom had to say to his son's ops while he was still alive. You see, Lil Jeff's mom had caught wind of her son's violent activity in the streets. However, instead of condemning his violent lifestyle, she seemed to embrace it wholeheartedly. In a now infamous screenshot that circulated online, Jeff himself had once posted a conversation with his mother, revealing just how deep her encouragement ran. "Go ahead, son. Your name ringing bells in the streets," she wrote, seemingly proud of the reputation her son was building by sliding on his ops. In another message, she added, "I love it, sliding on them who slept in the bed with you? This was no concerned mother begging her son to leave the streets. This was a full-fledged endorsement of his thug lifestyle, and Lil Jeff was thrilled by this endorsement. He proudly shared the screenshot with the caption, "All I gotta say is, she watched me work that 6T-woo." To him, his mother's approval wasn't just validation, it was fuel to keep sliding on his rivals. But if his mother's response was shocking, his father's was even worse. While Lil Jeff's mom cheered from the sidelines, his father took a more active role, practically calling for retaliation. Taking to Facebook, he made it clear that his son's death wouldn't go unanswered. And to let it be known, y'all didn't get him. He came trying to get y'all, and what happened happened. But the saga continues. Clear the streets. To anyone unfamiliar with street life, the message was disturbing. One that sounded less like mourning and more like a call to war. A message that shouldn't be coming from someone's dad. Instead of trying to stop the cycle of violence, Lil Jeff's parents were pouring gasoline on the fire, and the internet wasn't having it. People were quick to call them out, roasting them for encouraging their son's destruction. While some sympathized, understanding the harsh realities of Chicago's gang culture, most couldn't believe what they were seeing. Parents actively pushing their son toward a life of crime, only to mourn him in a way that kept the violence alive. But while Lil Jeff's parents might not pose a threat in the streets, his affiliates, the Bloodhounds, aren't to be messed with, and they are already threatening their ops from Trap City. Lil Jeff's affiliates threatening witnesses. It was only a matter of time before Lil Jeff's affiliates went after their ops in retaliation, and it all started with a cryptic post by Q50 saying, "Damn folks, my big brother, my twin, my other half. Just like you said though, this wasn't going to do nothing but make me worse. I'm done crying though. I'm just finna do what you told me to." It was clear that the Bloodhounds were baying for blood, and it wasn't long before they found their next target, Trap City Carter. On October 20th, 2024, news outlets reported that a man had tragically lost his life in Chicago. The previous night had seen shots being left off in the city's Oakland neighborhood. By the time it was all over, a man lay bleeding on the pavement, his life slipping away with every passing second. It happened around 8:41 p.m. on South Ellis Avenue, a block that, like so many others in the city, had seen its fair share of violence. Witnesses told police that two men had approached their target, guns drawn, and fired without hesitation. The 32-year-old victim never had a chance. Within moments, the shooters had jumped into a white vehicle and disappeared into the night. Paramedics arrived quickly, rushing the victim to the University of Chicago Medical Center, but the damage was done. The victims had sustained multiple gunshot wounds to the chest and had lost too much blood. Despite the best efforts of the doctors, he was pronounced dead shortly after arriving. The medical examiner identified him as Chevelle Carter. Lil Jeff's affiliates couldn't hide their excitement over his death. They hopped on social media, where just like Lil Jeff, posted cryptic messages that hinted at Carter's murder being get back for Lil Jeff's death. They wanted everyone to know that they had just murked one of their biggest ops. Q50, one of Lil Jeff's closest affiliates, took to Instagram, where he posted 3 blunts and a message implying that he was done sliding because he had avenged his homies' deaths. Lil Scoom and Lil Jeef Boolin' feet kicked up, now I can get rich, I love and miss y'all. He also captioned it, "P.S. it ain't over." And true to his words, retribution for Lil Jeff's death wasn't over, because it was about to get a whole lot messier, because just a few days later, another person would lose their lives in the gang war. This time, the victim had nothing to do with the streets. On November 2nd, what was supposed to be Trap City Carter's sending off turned into yet another tragic incident in Chicago. News outlets reported a woman was shot and killed while taking part in a funeral procession for her brother in South suburban Dixmoor. She had come to say her final goodbyes, to grieve with family, to honor the life of someone she had loved. Instead, she lost her own. At exactly 12:01 p.m., Dixmoor police were called to the scene at 147th Street and Sealy Avenue, where a white Jaguar SUV had crashed into a house. But the real tragedy wasn't the crash itself. It was what officers found inside the vehicle. Behind the wheel was a 34-year-old woman, her body slumped, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. She had been driving in the funeral procession, making her way from St. Mark's Church in Harvey when the shots rang out. The same streets that had carried her brother's final journey had now become the site of her own. Paramedics rushed her to U Chicago Medicine Ingalls Memorial Hospital in Harvey, fighting to keep her alive, but the damage was too severe. She was pronounced dead soon after arriving. Later, authorities identified her as Romacia Turner of Calumet Park. She was Trap City Carter's sister. For Lil Jeff's affiliates, there was no line they couldn't cross trying to get revenge for their homie. And even though they had inflicted damage to their ops, there was one person who might crash out over Lil Jeff's death, his big brother. Bloodhound Lil Jeff's big brother, Jay Boogie, is currently caught between a rock and a hard place. You see, just days before he was murked, Lil Jeff asked his homies to slide for him if his ops ever took him out. And the laws of the streets, Jay Boogie had no choice. He had to slide for his brother. But there was one big problem. The guys who murked his brother were once his homeboys. Matter of fact, he didn't have any beef with them. What's even more crazy is that his brother's ops, Trap City, were also confused by the whole situation. They didn't have any beef with Jay Boogie, yet they they understood that rules are rules. In a vlog featuring OTF Black and Trap City affiliates, Taro and Rob, OTF Black revealed that he was locked up with Jay Boogie's dad and that Jay Boogie grew up under the Black Disciples, meaning he was cool with Trap City.
And you know what's crazy?
Yeah.
You know Jay Boogie, like
Jay Boogie,
under us,
my
that's
hood.
our shorty. Like, I was in the field with this kid. Like this little Jeff brother, like on that. I don't know how this gonna play out.
And according to Trap City Rob, Jay Boogie was still claiming Trap City.
They say he ain't claiming the hood still.
But he Trap City.
That's what I'm saying.
That's where
Like,
he from.
How the fuck you gonna
weird,
do that
bro.
and you over Saturday night bloodhound? Like you can't.
But we already know Trap City and Drill City was the same. Bucky and Woodard, like that's our family.
At the time, Jay Boogie was in jail. So when it was revealed that he would be coming home 2 years early and just months after his little brother had been gunned down, everyone was eager to know which side he would align with. Would he join the Bloodhounds, which he had claimed since it was founded, or would he choose his childhood friends? But you know what they say about blood, it's thicker than water. When Jay Boogie came home 3 months after his lil bro's death, he let the whole world know who he was rocking with because he would go on IG Live doing the usual Bloodhound stuff, snorting drugs on camera with Q50.
We saw you online, you know, as soon as you got out, you snipped the perk with Q50 online. Feel.
I'm finna snuff one right now.
Even in his first interview, back with DJ UTV, he said that he and Q50 are pretty tight.
Hey, so what's your relationship like with Q50? You know, we saw y'all linked up, you know.
Bleed.
What you think about Q50? That's like Lil Jeff, right-hand man.
What I think about him? What you mean? That's look Bleed. Black. Brr. I love him.
And since Q50 was among those who saw Lil Jeff take his last breath, you already know that they are talking about sliding for Lil Bro. The pressure to slide for Lil Jeff might start mounting, not only from fans on the internet or his fellow Bloodhounds, but also from himself. What most people don't know is that Jay Boogie might secretly blame himself for his Lil Bro's death, and the reason will shock you. On the DJ UTV interview, Jay Boogie revealed that he jumped off the porch at 13.
Can you tell us around what age did you jump off the porch?
Hold up, but out here though, probably like 13, like that, 13, 14, regular age. You know, been bad as hell though, you know.
And what's sad is that he introduced his Lil Bro to the street life.
So around what age did you jump off the porch and start hanging out in the streets?
I'm gonna say when I came outside for real, I was like 18.
So can you tell us like who introduced you to the street life?
My brother.
Your older brother, right?
Yeah.
And in no time, Jeff was hanging out with Vert and Q50, who are all drug addicts at this point. Q50 even took to Instagram to brag about how he spends more than $500 on perks every day, while Vert revealed in an interview that he spends around $400 on drugs.
I don't spend like probably $400 a day, literally.
Vert is so far gone that he's often high and fast asleep during some of his interviews. Even Jeff's alleged killer took to Instagram to roast the Bloodhounds for being junkies, saying, "Why would I want to hang out with Vert? That's a shorty and a goofy. I'm from Trap City, not 79th, not Bloodhound. Am I doing hanging with you and perk sniffing crew dumbass little boy?" And as much as Jay Boogie and the Bloodhounds want to avenge Lil Jeff's death, there's no denying that he brought it on himself. From his activities in the streets and his disrespect on social media, it was clear his time was coming. And when he died, his crimes were exposed for the world to see. Lil Jeff's criminal history. When Lil Jeff was buried, his ops refused to let him rest in peace. Vert had a mural set up for his fallen brother, but not long after, Lil Jeff's ops uploaded a video of the desecrating it. To understand why his ops would destroy his mural, let's start with this clip of him mocking the death of an op.
They put y'all shorty in a trunk and set his ass on fire. Y'all lucky I ain't that man. I ain't got pissed out like that jet. Hey, burn this to hell.
The murder of 15-year-old Kidani Smith, who was found dead in the trunk of a burning car, is perhaps the most gruesome murder in the Chicago gang war. On December 15th, 2023, Chicago police and fire crews responded to reports of a burning vehicle at about 2 a.m. The vehicle was in an alley, and after crews put out the fire, they found the teen's body in the trunk. The medical examiner's report was gruesome. It turns out that the teen had been shot multiple times in the neck and chest before his body was set ablaze in the stolen vehicle. Mocking Smith's death is just the tip of the iceberg. Remember the dead op that Big Motion was forced to disrespect? He suffered a tragic death, with the internet revealing that Lil Jeff might have been behind the murder. On the 25th of June at around 8:55 p.m., Trap City member Yelial Goins, alias Leal, was sitting in a parked rideshare car in the Little Italy neighborhood near the University of Illinois Chicago campus. This neighborhood, sometimes called Little Italy or University Village, is the last place anyone would have to worry about gang violence. However, Leal's ops didn't care and wanted him taken out. That night, as Leal sat in his rideshare car on the 1300 block of West Taylor Street, someone approached the car on foot and opened fire through the rear passenger window, shooting inside the car numerous times before running away. The ordeal lasted a couple of seconds. Immediately, the rideshare driver took off and drove the seriously wounded Leal to the nearest hospital, which was less than a mile away. But by the time they got to the hospital, it would already be too late, and the Trap City gang member would be pronounced dead upon arriving.
So at one intersection, I had to stop it because there was a car coming through, and then I turned to him and said, "Hey, I'm going to take you to the hospital." And he said, "Okay." Then the next time I stopped, I had to stop at a light because there was two cars coming through the intersection, so I couldn't run it immediately. And I looked back then, and he wasn't moving anymore.
What's even more bizarre about this story is that Leal's family works for a violence outreach group in Chicago called Project Hood. Leal's dad was the group's executive assistant, while his brother was its youth manager. But here's the most insane part. Lil Jeff would hop on the internet and mock his op's death by reenacting how they slid on it. The trolling was always next level. No wonder he posted this next clip.
I'm taking to killing school. Class start next week. You gotta at least have 2 bodies though. For I ain't coming with no. If you ain't got, I can't work with no beginners, folks.
Anyone who doesn't know Chicago rapper Lil Jeff, this video might seem harmless, just another cryptic social media post. But to those in the know, it's clear that he was sending a message. And that message was nothing short of a diss aimed directly at his ops, that if they weren't careful, he could catch them lacking like he did 2 of their homies, Monty and Lil Rob. The Chicago drill rapper had been teasing the number 2 all over social media, and it seems to have started after the deaths of Monty and Lil Rob, which went down on Friday, January 26, 2024. The victims, Robert Boston, known in the streets as Lil Rob, and Monterio Williams, better known as Monty, were attending Innovations High School, a charter school located in downtown Chicago. At exactly 12:30 p.m., 2 cars sped toward the Washington train station, just a short distance from the school. The moment they stopped, masked gunmen leaped out, guns drawn, and opened fire. The targets were clear: Monty and Lil Rob. It was over in seconds. The shooters jumped back into their cars and sped off. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, but by then, it was already too late. Monty and Lil Rob were transported to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, where doctors could only confirm the inevitable. Both teens were pronounced dead on arrival. Soon he wouldn't hesitate to throw up the number 2 on social media any chance he got.
You gotta at least have a 2. I'm gonna give y'all 2 minimum. I'm gonna start at 2 minimum, cause y'all know why I'm gonna start at 2 minimum. Now I'm just doing it for a tradition. I'm gonna start at 2 minimum, man.
Lil Jeff dropped lyrics that left little to the imagination and made sure everyone knew exactly what had gone down. He even got a tattoo of 10 teardrops with 2 teardrops being connected, which according to internet detectives signified killing 2 people in the same drill. The caption was clear: if you know, you know. If you don't, you. To him, it was just another day in the trenches, a deadly game where only the most ruthless survive. And in this other post, he put up a caption of 10 hats, symbolizing how many people he had killed. What caught people's attention are the 2 graduation hat emojis, which according to the internet, symbolized the 2 high school teens. This wouldn't be the only time he was linked to a double murder, because when 2 gangsters, 25-year-old Desiree McGee, alias D Money, and 19-year-old Lil Deuce were killed, fingers were already pointing at Lil Jeff, because after the murders, he couldn't keep it to himself. The world had to know. It all went down in the early hours of November 1st, 2023. Lil Deuce and female gangster D Money were sitting in their parked vehicle on the 8,300 block of South Dorchester Avenue. It was supposed to be just another night in the trenches, but in the blink of an eye, everything changed. According to an eyewitness, 2 individuals crept up on the vehicle. Before the victims could react, the gunmen opened fire, sending a hail of bullets into the car before fleeing on foot, disappearing into the darkness. It was a hit, executed with precision. Lil Deuce, riddled with bullets, took several shots to the chest. Paramedics rushed him to the University of Chicago Medical Center, but it was already too late. He was pronounced dead on arrival. D Money, on the other hand, suffered a gunshot wound to the torso. She too was transported to the same hospital, fighting for her life, but she also succumbed to her injuries soon after. Shortly after the news broke, Lil Jeff took to social media, dropping cryptic messages that many believed were a blatant confession. He posted hat emojis, symbols often used to signify a body count, but what stood out was that one of the hats resembled a woman's, possibly representing D Money. And it's hard to feel sorry for Lil Jeff because he died exactly how he lived, sliding on his ops. Maybe now, with him gone, the gang war in Chicago will soon be on its deathbed. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.